on the question of numbers, as well as the overall scale of what the country as a whole can cope with, it's very important as well to think about actually where those numbers are going. And I think this was one of the things that the last Labour government didn't do, and a new Labour government would have to do better. Because as well as you can look at those figures as an average across the country, 1% growth or whatever, but that's not the way migration works. Many more of them will go in ways that aren't entirely predictable to different areas, and it is very important that the money for public services follows people. And that's not just people coming from overseas, it's also movements within the UK. And that was a real challenge at the end of the last Labour government. And I remember trying to have some of these conversations with the big spending departments, but also with the then local government department. And one of the sort of real unfortunate coincidences was they just signed a 3-year funding. This is a bit technocratic, but I know that you guys have a tolerance for something.
Bring it on, Matt. Bring it on. We literally, Sam and I are purring at this point.
They just signed a 3-year funding deal for the first time ever, and they've been pushing for this 3-year, to give themselves more time to plan. The local authority funding just moved to a 3-year model. They've been pushing this for ages, and they just got it. And so when we went to them and talked to them and said, look, actually, we're worried that this isn't sufficiently sensitive to some of the flows of migrants. And first of all, I said, are we wrong? Tell us what you're seeing, and are we wrong? And they said, no, you're right. But I'm sorry, we really just don't want to reopen it because we've just fought for this. And so as a result, we were stuck with 3-year funding based on the numbers for population a year or more ago. And we knew that some of these areas were getting many more people than had been, the basis for the planning for the schools and hospitals and so on. And we eventually let that drop and ended up sort of trying to mitigate it around the edges with things like the Migration Impact Fund, which were very small, taking a bit of money from visas and putting that into to local areas. But a new Labour government really has to think not just about the scale for the country as a whole, but where they're going and making sure that the funding for public services is following the people. And that has to be a bit faster than it has been in the past.